Welcome back to the ChessGoals YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to go over some puzzles starting at the 400 rating on chess.com. And I'm going to climb up the ladder with the puzzle ratings and kind of talk through my thought process with the different puzzles as we go. And I'll put timestamps to link to each puzzle if you want to jump around. All right, puzzle number one, we're at 400. The first thing I like to look for around this puzzle level is free pieces and checkmates. So in this position, I don't see any checkmates. Really, the only check is queen to a5 check, but that can be captured by the rook. And then the next thing to look for are free pieces. And this rook on a7 appears to be a free piece because we have queen takes a7 available. Doesn't seem like any other pieces are free. This is defended. This is defended by the king, by the bishop, by the rook. So all those are defended. So let's see if this works. Yes, it does. All right, so that puzzle rating was 115, and that was a free rook. Let's go to the next one. And feel free to pause the puzzles if you want to try them yourselves before I show the answer. All right, on this one, first thing I want to look for is a checkmate. And there's a very common checkmate that happens at this level of puzzles. It's the back rank checkmate. This is a version of the back rank checkmate. So if you look at the king, it's boxed in by these pawns. And if we can get a rook onto the back rank safely, that could create a checkmate along the back rank. So in this position, our rooks are doubled on the d file. What we can do is play rook takes d8, checking the king, and there's no way that black can capture back the rook because it's defended by the other rook. So this is a checkmate in one move, rook takes d8. All right, that is puzzle rating of 100. Let's go to the next one. All right, in this position, we have to kind of keep track of which way the pawns are going. Since we're playing black and the 8th rank is down here at the bottom, we know these pawns are going up the board and white's pawns are coming down the board. So the first thing we want to do is look for any checks. We don't have any checks. The next thing to do is look for free pieces. And there's one free piece, king takes g3, so that has to be the first move. All right, now it's going to be a race. So white's trying to get these pawns to turn into queens. We're going to try to do the same for our pawns. So which pawn is faster to push, H pawn or G pawn? The G pawn is one file further, or one rank further back on the 6th rank. The H pawn is on the 5th rank. Also, our king is on the G file, blocking the G pawn. So the H pawn looks like it's 2 moves faster than our G pawn. And now we can see this pawn's going to the 3rd rank when this pawn is still 4 ranks away. So we're going to be able to queen when this pawn is on b6, and then it will go to b7, which we could actually capture in the end. And the puzzle stops there. This one was rated 100. It doesn't make you show the checkmate with king and queen, but that's something that you can practice in the chess.com endgame trainer, mating with the king and queen. All right, we're up to 417 rating. This one we have our queen being attacked, and there's a discovered check coming soon. So we pretty much have to do something quickly. Let's look for checks. We have bishop takes f7, queen takes f7. Usually it's best to check with the queen first, and it looks like this one is going to be a check. And when the king moves, we can create that back rank checkmate we talked about earlier. You see these two pawns boxing in that king on h8. We can then move our queen to f8. Black will have to take because it's with check, and our rook takes back for checkmate. So it's going to be a check, another check, and a checkmate. All right, 4 puzzles in a row. That one was rated 451, a little bit tougher. It was a back rank, but it took 3 moves. All right, so this one we have the knight hanging on h5. We could play queen takes. This queen is well defended. And we have our knight and queen kind of over here on white's king side set up. And if you look at what they're threatening, both knight and queen are threatening this pawn on g2. So we can actually play queen takes g2, and this is going to be a checkmate. It's defended by the knight. Knight guards the queen, and there's no way to capture that queen. That's a 542 rated puzzle. We got 5 in a row. Let's go to the next one. All right, queen back to f8. First, I'm looking for any checkmates, and I do see a checkmate. So if we look at this bishop on g5, it cuts through this diagonal, cutting off the black king. So the black king cannot escape through that diagonal. If we could just check the king while it's sitting in the current position, that could be a checkmate if there's no way to block. So looking for potential checks, I see knight takes pawn and knight to d6. Knight to d6 could be captured by the knight, by the pawn, or by the queen. So that's not a good move. Knight takes c7. That's a check, and there's no way to capture back. So that's a checkmate. Mate in 1. And that puzzle's rated 260. So we've seen a lot of mate in 1 puzzles and win a piece in 1 move puzzles below the 400 rating. And in the 400s, there was that puzzle where it was a back rank checkmate, but it took a few moves to get there. So we'll have to see if that theme continues. Our queen's being attacked. All of the black major pieces, big pieces, queen and rook, and the minor pieces, bishop and knight, all seem well defended. Let's look for checks. Queen checks on the back rank. She could be captured by the rook or by the king. We do have this rook check on the back rank, backed up by the other rook, with our queen eyeing this g8 square. So let's calculate this out. Rook check, the king comes up, queen g8 checkmate. Rook check, if rook takes rook, the other rook captures, king goes up, queen g8 checkmate. So it's a forced checkmate no matter what black does. And that gets a similar theme. So 585 rating. And that puzzle was just a couple moves to get to the back rank mate. So similar to the other one over 400. King to f8 played by black. We have rook here check, the king could take. Rook here check, king could sidestep. Queen here could be captured. Queen here could be captured. But right here is a checkmate in 1 move. Queen to f7 mate. I'm guessing this puzzle is going to be rated 200s or maybe 300s. 381. Got a mate in 1 at 381. All right, what do we think on this one? Our bishop cuts through this diagonal. Queen to f8 can be captured. Queen to b8 check cannot be captured. And the black queen does not have any safe squares to block because we can just capture it. So queen to b8, the king has to go to h7, only move. And then we do have a check here, queen to h8. That's a checkmate. So this is going to be a checkmate in 3 moves. One is to b8. The second move will be capturing the black queen wherever she blocks from. And then the third move will be queen to h8 mate. Didn't make us show the last move, but that would be mate on the next turn. And that was a 305 rating. So now we're up to 484. Rook to e6 by black. Oh, I'm looking at this back rank again. This is going to be a back rank mate. There's only one check. Rook to c8. And black will have to block. We can take the rook checkmate. So the reason we see so many of these back rank checkmates in the chess.com puzzles is because these puzzles come from games of chess.com players. And that's one thing I really like about the chess.com puzzles. So if blunders are happening in games, they're going to auto feed these puzzles. You're going to see real life positions that are from chess.com games. So there's a lot of back rank checkmates at lower ratings. And then we see at the lower puzzle ratings, there's a lot of back rank checkmates, right? So it really trains you to see those same tactics in your games. This was a 331 rating, and now we're up to 497. Let's do another one. Okay, there's not any pieces out for white. Everything is on the first rank. First, we got to look for checks. See one here, queen to h4 check. That appears to be the only check. If white plays king to e2, we could then play queen to e4 check. King will have to run this way. Then we bring out the bishop check. That's looking pretty good. Okay, what else could white do? Block with the pawn. That falls for this classic fork. Queen to e4, hitting the rook and the king. And I don't see any other checks. I don't see any other captures. So this should be the answer. Queen to h4 check. White plays g3. I think it would have been a little trickier to play king e2. I wasn't sure exactly what the follow-up would be there. But this one is pretty straightforward. We go for the fork and win the rook. This puzzle's rated 511. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going back and just taking a quick peek at this to see what the answer would have been. So if white plays king e2, queen e4 check is the top move. King f2 and bishop c5 check is the top move. So I was on the right track. If king comes out, it looks like we could capture this pawn. King is still exposed. Can't block the check. If pawn to d4, we could capture that pawn with the bishop. So it's still a really good position for black. 7-point stockfish advantage. All right, so those are puzzles in the 400s. I hope this was helpful. I will put timestamps in the description below. Let me know in the comments, do you want to see more of these puzzles? What I can do is keep running up the rating range, have a bunch of puzzles at each 100-point interval, and that way players at any level could go in and say, okay, my puzzle rating is 800. I want to go see how Matt solves puzzles in the 800s, or at least, add an 800 rating, what his puzzles look like, what the thought process is. Let me know in the comments, do you like this type of video? If you do, I will try to do more of them. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends who play chess. If you know some beginners who play chess, they might be interested in this video. And then one last note, we do have our Caro-Kann Middle Games course has been released. I'm going to put a video up above to show a full preview chapter that JD and I did on that course. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.